Muted.
All right, hi everyone. We're going to get started as people kind of trickle in there. So thank you again for joining. Today's webinar, we've picked up a lot of new users recently. So if you are an active user, this might be a little bit of a review for you, but we're going to do sort of an introductory webinar and introduce the concepts for those who are interested. The topics we're going to include are we're going to start off with how to create a free account if you haven't done so already. If you have, don't hesitate to activate your account. A lot of people taking advantage of the powerful visuals in our software to sell more insurance. And again, it's definitely going to create a positive return on investment for you if you use our software with your clients. And I'm going to show you a couple examples today as we build some cases. When we get into the account, we're going to start off with how to brand your report with your logo. One of the most important things about the LDA software is that we want it to be all advisor branded. We don't want to show up on there anywhere because your brand is so important, and any way you can reinforce that and add professionalism to that is really going to be a positive. So we'll show you how you can add your logo to the report and even customize it with different colors, templates, things like that. We're going to build some cases, so I've put down that we're going to do an easy T10 to 20 upsell, but time dependent, and because our software is so fast at doing these comparisons, we might evolve that concept a little bit, show T10, 20, 30, and how we can work with those time controls. The next one we're going to go into is how to present whole life that sells itself. And again, whole life is one of those products I know lots of advisors want to sell. They want to sell more of it. The premium is so attractive and the benefits to the clients are so attractive that it really is a worthwhile product to really present well and to communicate the advantages to your clients effectively. I think there's no more important time than right now with getting policies issued and getting them sold really quickly so that we can take advantage of these rules that are going to be grandfathered through as we go into the new MTAR changes. And as soon as some of that data comes out, again, it's coming very rapidly, but we're going to be able to actually do compares of today versus next year as soon as we can get our hands on some of that information. And then I'm also going to show how to mine your block of business, showing a little bit of a new feature in life design analysis that's combined with the import of that block of business and how you can see some of your best opportunities and really get productive on the block of business that you've established throughout the years. If you're newer to the industry, again, it's a great way to build that block of business in a really compliant way. So I'll show a little bit on that. I want to start off with just a little bit of a backstory for those of you who are new to our software of how life design analysis was started. Essentially, it was started with myself and my stepfather. I'm more the IT guy, and he's the insurance veteran of about 50 years. He's since retired, but realistically, he brought me into the office one day, and he said, how can technology help me with insurance? And at the time, I said, well, Larry, I have to understand a little bit more about your business. So basically, treat me as you would a consumer and sell me some insurance. And he started out by saying, I'm an independent agent, so I represent up to 20 different companies. He showed me some term 10, some term 20, and some UL. And essentially what he did is he printed off some illustrations, and I was sitting there with text and numbers in front of me. And I kind of looked at him as I had these illustrations, and I said, Larry, I'm an engineer here. I'm a numbers person, and I can't immediately tell which option is the best for me. So I said, I think your biggest problem is that life insurance is confusing. And I think it's a prevalent theme out there. When I do sort of talks with people and in the industry, advisors normally nod their head when I say that people are confused by insurance. I always say, though, don't take it from me. I like to show an article that I've taken from advisor.ca here. So again, this is not me. This is actually a survey done by BMO Insurance. And I've highlighted here that the survey finds that 88% of people aren't familiar with the different types of life insurance options available to them. I think I kind of round that. I say that's about 9 out of 10 of our clients are not aware of their insurance options. What I think is really interesting, though, is that further down in the survey, it says 63% of those same people stated that the best time to buy is now. So again, these people are, 9 out of 10 of them are confused, but they know that the best time to buy is immediately, which tells me that these consumers are stuck. And again, I pull up another article here. This one is a LIMRA study. It was also posted in the Insurance and Investment Journal, and it shows that 19 million potential life insurance buyers in the U.S. are stuck, which is to say they know they should have coverage, but they're not taking action because they're confused by the language. So again, we know we have an issue. That same sort of, even though this is a U.S.-based study, the same sort of ratio applies in Canada. They sort of recommend making analogies and drawing illustrations. Well, we have a really good solution for that. So again, if we know our customers are confused, and most advisors I speak to say the same thing, they say, yeah, we know that already. What do consumers feel? So this is a survey done by Accenture, and this is on consumer behavior, specifically dealing with financial products and financial advisors. And you can see basically they've broken it down into boomers, Gen X, and millennials. And I think it's really interesting. So the first question is, I would never take the advice of my financial advisor without first consulting another source. What we can see is that, again, as the generation trends younger and younger, and millennials now, this light blue one, represent the biggest buying segment out there, you can see they're a lot more skeptical, or they at least want options, and they want to make sure that the decision they're making is the right one. So they do check other sources. They ask their friends, they go to Facebook, and they look online. The next one is, I spend a lot of time researching alternatives before making a major purchase decision. Now this one's pretty consistent, but as you can see, as they trend younger and younger, they are spending time researching these products. So know that when you make a recommendation, they want that information to fact check it. They want options. They want to do some research and find out if it really is the best one for them. And the last one, and I think this one ties in mostly to the previous slide, again, about 9 out of 10 consumers are confused by the products. Yet on the other side, they say they need to fully understand the different options and outcomes before they feel in control of the situation. And again, this is pretty consistent across the board for all generations. But as you can see, millennials are our biggest buying generation, even boomers. They all need to understand the different options and outcomes. So, what may have worked, that personal recommendation is certainly important as it comes from you, but they want to make sure they understand it, and they want to research that recommendation. So it's really important to have something that they can understand easily, and that's where an LDA report really comes in. So how we know we have this issue, people are confused, yet they crave the information. So how do we communicate to them? Well, most of them are visual learners, and visuals, I'm going to show a little bit later, are communicated a lot faster than text and numbers. And that's exactly why we use signs like this on the highway as opposed to signs like this on the right here. It's a lot quicker to understand a symbol than it is a wall of text and numbers. And again, we are visual processors as humans. We see, most of our, in fact, 70% of our sensory receptors are actually in our eyes. So we're trained to understand visuals. And yet when we present insurance product, we show something like this. And again, keeping in mind, this is one product. And I've highlighted at the top there, if you can't see it on your screen share, this is page 4 of 14. And again, if you're a numbers person or not, it's pretty difficult to tell me, how much have I paid at year 7, and when did I break even on the cash value, or what is actually the cash value? What does the dividend value even mean? So we need to communicate better to these clients, because it really doesn't matter how much intelligence, skill or talent you have, or personality, even the substance of the discussion you're talking about, if you can't communicate it to the end client. So again, we have a real challenge on our hands. Today, we're going to show you some solutions for that. So I won't do too much of a PowerPoint, but our solution is life design analysis, and you're probably familiar with it at least a little bit because you're joining our webinar here today. But I want to show a little bit of what it can do for you and how it can help you in your practice. So if you haven't done so already, again, create a free account. There's a little bit of information on the main page about some of the information I've talked about behind the concept, what it does. But again, I encourage you, sign up free, because there is no downside to it. There's no credit card on sign up, meaning you can start your first 30 days. We want you to use it, and then we'll ask for your business after you've gotten a chance to try it. Again, LDA, or Life Design Analysis, is web-based, so you can log in from absolutely anywhere. This is something that will work just as well on a tablet as it will your smartphone. So again, I'm gonna sign in here to my Elite account. It looks a little different than yours. There's a few extra tabs along the top as a system admin here, but again, it's a very simple interface to use. And just to kind of highlight how that works, or how that could look on a tablet, if I just minimize this here for a second, we're going to notice that the actual software changes as we change the size. So again, we can see as we move this around into, say, maybe more of a phone size, again, we're going to see the software actually respond. So again, don't hesitate to bring this out in front of your clients if you're comfortable on a tablet, or again, it's convenient. Someone starts the presentation from your office on a computer, and you can pick it up on your phone or your laptop. So again, being cloud-based has several advantages. Now, the big aspect of our site, what we really focus on is that comparison of products and presentation to your client. So we want to help you easily communicate insurance options to your clients, and that's the compare products. And I'm actually going to build a few cases in a moment. The next thing that it does is every time you create these presentations, and you can make as many as you like, there's unlimited presentations in there, they're all automatically saved and managed. Now, this is great from a convenience standpoint. Again, as I said, you can start a case in the office and pick it up on your tablet, but it's also very good from a compliance standpoint as well. This is giving you basically an audit trail. So you're going to have a record of every case that you compare, what you compared. So again, you're giving some transparency on how you came to a product decision. And again, if you're using our needs analysis tools, you're also documenting exactly how you establish that face value or that insurance benefit. And again, you're also keeping a record of when you did it. So again, if you ever need to prove what you showed to your clients when you did it, again, you always have that backup. And again, you can see I've set favorite cases. Let me just back this out a little here, and I'll show you again. I have a record of all the cases I've ever created since my account was created. And again, if I ever need to go back and show an auditor, I certainly can. So that's sort of the managed cases aspect of it. Again, very convenient because, as we know, clients don't often decide in one meeting. Sometimes it takes multiples. Well, it's good to have our record of what we created and be able to reproduce it. Now, the other aspect of the software is every time that we do one of these comparisons, we have a certain client in mind, whether they're existing or a prospect. Now, I don't know about you, but I find it extremely frustrating to keep entering client information in all the time. You know, what was their date of birth? Let me go check the file folder. Well, every time you create a client in Life Design Analysis, they're automatically saved in that Manage Client area. Now, this can also be populated by importing your block of business as well. We like to think about this as a little bit of a miniature CRM. And what I mean by that is it's going to have all your policy details about certain clients. So client information, you know, their date of birth, any policies they have, the description, insurance benefit, when it was issued, things like that. We're not trying to be a full CRM where we do mail merges and things like that. But what we are trying to do is help you manage your policies better. And again, this is really important as we go into the system here to show all of our different opportunities. So again, you can filter out certain opportunity by, you know, say for instance, I want to look for my sample case. I can type in a name and it will find any client for that particular case. But it's also really good for getting productive, and this is something a little bit new in the system, that you want to find all your Term 10 conversions. Well, again, we have a little button here. Once you've imported all your policies, or as you create them in the system, again, you can click on Term 10 conversion, and it's going to automatically filter out term policies that can be converted. Again, these will be all your best opportunities based on date. And what it's doing is it's basically looking back 10 years based on issue date and filtering out products that include the word 10 in them. So again, you can see these would be my best opportunities. I better go show these clients, here's what you bought from me 10 years ago, and here's what's about to happen to it. But I also want to give them some options as far as here's what you can convert to, or maybe even at very least I issue a new Term 10. So these are very easy sales to make. But from the other side of the coin, they're also very compliant ways to do business, because if we let these policyholders lapse and something were to happen, well, if we haven't showed them their options and we can't prove that, we have some liability on our hand. So this is, again, a very good sales tool as well as a compliance asset to have. Again, once you get through those conversion opportunities, you may want to look at Term 10 swaps. So very similar sort of concept. This one would be looking at policies issued within the last 5 years. And again, you can exchange a T10 to a T20 with most manufacturers within the first 5 years, no med. And oftentimes people will use this strategy just to get in front of a client. I just want to show you you have this option. Maybe when you get to the meeting, they say, you know what, no, later on I want to convert to that whole life, so I'm not going to go a T20. But you might cross-sell some CI while you open that conversation. So you never know what is going to happen when you do open the door with one of these presentations. Again, you can do the Term 20 conversion as well. So you know, that's sort of, again, a great way to get productive and a great way to service your block of business for those of you who have been in the industry. Again, how do you populate that? Well, as I said, as you create clients, or again, you can import your entire block of business. from selected manufacturers. We list some of the popular ones. We also have a generic one. If you're struggling to get this information, get in touch with us. We will certainly help you, and we can help you bring that in as well. So if it's one of the things you said, well, I just don't want to deal with it, again, we can help you if you need help. Further to that, we have needs analysis tools for personal as well as business. Again, these can be attached to any client and thus included in any sort of report. And I promise I will get to building a report really shortly. That's sort of the main concept that I know most people want to see. I want to show, though, first of all, how you can brand these reports with your logo. So one of the first things I recommend when you do sign up and create your free account is brand it with all your personal information. So there is a nice video that sort of details how to create your first report, and it starts off with customizing the account settings. But that's really the first topic that I like to touch on. So if you go up, once you've created your account, and up to the top right corner where it says welcome in your name, you can go into account settings. And this is where you can actually customize your logo. So you can actually add your own brand logo. And just as an example here, I'm gonna, again, mine has my logo, but I'm gonna brand it, and I'm gonna pretend I'm another company. So I'm gonna say, okay, we want to choose my logo, and I'm gonna go to my desktop, and I've just saved the Google logo. So I'm actually gonna upload that. You know, my brand works with color scheme 1, I think, and again, I'm going to go with template 3 here. So you can actually change the different colors of the reports. You can take a look there. You can really furnish the report with lots of personal information, and that's what I mean. We want the report to be advisor branded. All of your information, so you would change this to your company name. So again, let's just say I'm Google here, presented by Charlie. And again, I can add my own mission statement. So I give an example in here, again, that the purpose of this report is to consider having permanent insurance in place. So if I sold a lot of permanent insurance, or that was my goal, I would have a mission statement that fits that. If you're in more of the term market, again, you might want to pair this with a mission statement that fits your particular niche. Again, I can also put other things. So this is customizable. So I could add like a signature line here. I could add a KYC, like a know your customer checklist into this. It's really quite flexible as far as what you can put in this report. Again, there's also a disclaimer that you can add there and customize, as well as certain things like your contact information. So again, put your website in there, put your address, and this is really that important leave behind information. Now, before you finish, just make sure you save and continue, and all those changes that we made are going to be saved. So again, when I hit save here, we're going to see that my logo is actually going to be the Google logo. Again, we can see I've branded it, and I'm just pretending that that's my advisor brand. You'll put your own logo in there. One of the other amazing features of our software is that we have an agreement with LifeGuide, a partnership in a sense, an agreement where we share the rate, they share the rates with us from all the insurance companies, and we offer a 50% discount if you're using LifeGuide currently. So again, if you are using LifeGuide and thinking, you know, how can I take all this data and turn it into a presentation, we make that extremely easy. We have their rates in the system, and again, they do a fantastic job of keeping those rates current and up to date. You can also set, though, your preferred companies in there and say these are the ones that I really prefer, and it's going to highlight those companies for you. It just helps you filter out. So again, if you have LifeGuide, you get the discount. If you don't, you're going to get those rates in the system anyway. So again, a very nice association with LifeGuide that we do have. So let's build some cases. So now I've gone in here, I've customized my account, I've set up my favorite companies in here, and I've uploaded my logo here. So I'm ready to actually create a case. So I'm going to go here back to the main dashboard, and I'm going to click on this first icon, the plus, add a new case. And as I said, this is really the main focus of our site. We want to help you compare products to really get past that confusion aspect that I mentioned before. So the first step is we've got to pick a client who we're doing this for. Again, typing a name in here. Any of those clients from my managed client area are going to show up here. If I was brand new and I'm just creating a new client from scratch, again, it's very simple. I would just click New Client, and I would fill out any of the information that's relevant for this client. So name, company name, all that sort of information. I'm going to build a sample report off my sample client here. So again, I select them from the list, and I hit Continue. So it really couldn't be simpler to create clients. And again, as I say, once you create them in the system, you never have to look for that birth date again. They're always kept up to date. So it's really a really nice benefit. Now, once we get into the design case here, so we say this is the client we want to work on, and our client happens to be a 50-year-old male non-smoker. Again, you can see sort of some of the client information here. We could always edit it and update it. You can also see I've done a needs analysis for this client before. So just to kind of give you an idea on how you can do that, basically you fill out the fields here for the needs analysis that are relevant for your client. So I've put in a few values for this client. Again, I can always change these values and update them. So you see as I change the values, the chart itself is actually going to update. So for instance, maybe they got rid of the boat and they bought, maybe they bought a cottage. And the cottage is 500. So we can actually build all these kind of unique unique kind of things that they have in their life into this needs analysis. Again, even controlling things like inflation to really help them get an idea on how time value of money works. So even if we need $1 million today, 20 years, we may need $442,000 more to cover that inflation. So again, they're very simple to fill out, and again, once you attach them to a client record, you're going to have them forever. And again, you can always modify them as those clients need changes. But it's, again, staying ahead of that trend of compliance. In Quebec, it's already mandatory, but it's soon going to be like that across Canada, where we need documented insurance analysis done. Now, you can use that need in there, or you can put in a specific amount. So the first topic we have on there, after we branded the report, is how do we create an easy T10 to T20 upsell? So let's pretend our sample client here has come to us. Maybe it's for a mortgage, or maybe they've had term insurance before and it's up for renewal. Maybe they bought it at 40, now they're 50, they need new product. Either way, what we want to do is we want to show them some options that they have. So I'm going to start with an insurance benefit. Let's just say we're working with $1 million here. So you can type in your face value. Any different amount works. And we want to show them that, yes, they do have that option for Term 10. So that, again, when we think back to those studies, clients want to know, and they need to know lots of information about their options. So we want to show them that, yes, they do have this Term 10 option. And again, if this client's 50, chances are they've had insurance before. So they may have even had Term 10 and say, look, I want that Term 10. So I'm just going to the market to search. And again, I can put any different term length I'd like to search for in this box here. All I have to do is hit search. And again, like I said, it's going to survey those life guide rates and give me a fantastic survey of the entire market out there. And again, I can go down this list here. I can still select any different product I'd like. So, again, even though RBC is coming out on top, I might say, I want that equitable life product because of those conversion options. I really like their par product. So it's completely up to you what you'd select. But we don't just want to show our client the T10 option. Yes, that's the most affordable one short term. If they've come to us for a mortgage, maybe they have 20 or 25 years on it, we want to show them something a little bit more relevant for their needs. So I'm going to compare this T10 with another product. I'm going to hit plus term, and I'm going to repeat my search. The only thing I'm going to change this time is that I'm going to select a T20. And again, when thinking about this, your imagination is the limit. Whatever products you want to highlight to your consumer, or whatever products you want to compare for them, you do the search for. So you can add as many different ones as you'd like. I'm going to add a BMO T20 in this case. You can also see, you can show the medical info that's required for these products as well to really help you decide on which one you'd like. But essentially, add as many different products as you'd like to compare. You can see once I add a product, all the different renewals are added with that. So again, you don't have to bring in all the different guaranteed renewals. If you're doing this in Excel right now, stop wasting your time. Sign up for our software immediately. It brings in all those guaranteed renewals, all the pricing. So again, it even knows when the products are renewable too, and adds them to the case there. Now, you can see below there are certain things for time as well. So these are just certain controls that you can help refine the case with. You don't really have to play with them too often, but the one I really like to emphasize is that you control the time that you're comparing these products. So I'm going to set that we're looking at this for 20 years, because that's what our client had the mortgage for in this situation. If we were doing permanent product, we might change it to analyze to age 99. So again, you really control these different aspects of the comparison. And again, we can dive down into them more detail, but they're ones like, do you want to calculate with present value? Do you want to condense the charts? When do you want to look at the IRR of offset? There's also other aspects like you can add internal notes. These would be just shown to you. They're not for your client. They're just for you to remember case details, things like that. Or report notes. Those might be individual report notes like a personal recommendation or anything extra you want to get into that report. So again, it could be something totally totally separate from their insurance. Could just be a nice little message. But essentially, once you load in your products, again, very easy, search. All you have to do is click this button at the top, generate the report. And when you click that, it's going to compare whatever products you've added in the top here. And as I said, you could add more than the 2. So you can see this is kind of an idea of the report that we're kind of creating here. First, it's going to start with the needs analysis if we've done one. Keeping in mind, if you don't do this for the client, it's not going to be on there. So it would start right at the next slide. And again, it's neat when you do generate these reports because you can see there's a total of all the current amounts that they might need. But if they say, well, wow, that's quite a huge number, you can actually play with this and interact with this as well. So if I say, okay, that's a big number, let's take away inflation and look at what you need immediately today. They go, okay, that's great. And they might say something like, well, let's take away the cottage. That's shared with my brother or something. We've got insurance on that already. Say he's bought previous insurance. So again, you can actually interact with this, and what you'll see is that the total actually recalculates here as you add certain things. And I know a lot of advisors actually use this for even determining, how much permanent insurance we need versus base. So they might say, you know what, the mortgage is going to be paid off, the debt's going to be paid off, cottage will be paid off. Okay, we might want, $500,000 here of permanent insurance, and we could use the rest in term rider. So that interactive portion saves you from pulling out the calculator, but your client can actually interact with the product itself or the need. And again, we know from statistics that as clients interact with visuals, they are more likely to remember and engage. A colorful report is more likely to capture their attention. Let's get down into the comparison of these 2 products we added. So again, one of the things I really like, and again, my experience in the insurance industry when I first got introduced was my stepfather putting in front, a couple different illustrations. Well, they're all 10 to 15 pages long. It's hard to summarize all the information on one page, and that's what ours does really well. So the first one is just basically showing the different premium schedules over that time that you've compared. And again, yes, of course, you can show it monthly. The big impact, though, that we have is that when you visualize that kind of information, it really puts it into perspective. So what clients really see is that there's a small increase initially to save an enormous renewal later. And again, knowing that this comparison is done exactly over that 20 years that's relevant to them makes this an extremely relevant compare as well. So they go, oh, this is over the entire course of that mortgage for my house. Oh, perfect. And they see that reason why you would lock in for 20 years. Now, every time we show them this, they always ask, so how much does it all cost? At the end of the day, what's the cost? And that's our next metric that we've selected here. This is a sum of premiums, and this just totals all the cost of any plan that you've added in there. And what advisors tell me they really, really like is showing break-even points. So showing at, middle of year 11 here, we're going to break even. By year 12, we're actually going to save you some money. So that's how early we break even. But if you think about your mortgage, and at the end of the 20 years, if I said, which one of these costs would you want, what would you tell me? If I said, here's the cost, you can be the blue line or the yellow line. 99% of clients, they say this, every time, I want to be the blue. Of course. Right? You want to pay less for your insurance. So at the end of 20 years, you want to pay $62,000 versus $147,000. No brainer, right? Well, it is when we position it like this to them, and we can easily summarize that data in a visual. Again, we also pair it with a table. So a lot of you are probably doing this manually in Excel. As I say, stop doing that. It's wasting time that you could be out there prospecting. But it's going to break down cost of one plan, cost of the other, and when there's 2, it also shows the difference. So it's no question that when we say what cost do you want to be, clients say, well, I want the one that saves me $85,000 over 20 years. And again, I know brokers will use this to position, hey, would you meet me for a coffee if I could save you $85,000? So even if you're looking to use it as a way to get an appointment, it's a fantastically powerful tool. Now, again, when we think about what the impact to us is as an advisor, and just even this simple scenario, if we went from a sale of $1,500 to a sale of $3,100, we've almost effectively doubled our commission. And again, that's how we're so easily able to dramatically impact brokers, FYCs who use our software. And it's not as if we're misleading the client. This is also good for them because it suits their needs better. It's just how do we communicate the long-term value of insurance to clients. So again, this is kind of one example. There's other metrics or components of this report too, cost per thousand, or things like internal rate of return. Now, I know every advisor out there has a different style of presentation. So some would prefer internal rate of return in a table. Some might say, I don't even want to see that cost per thousand. Well, when I speak of the customizability of life design analysis, at any point you can go to the case, and within these controls that I was talking about before, if you scroll down to the very bottom here, there's actually a section of report components. So each one of those pages was a certain component. And again, if you feel that a certain component doesn't help with a case, or it's maybe overcomplicating things, again, you can slim down the report or take out metrics that you don't want. And again, I'll just really quickly regenerate that report so that we can actually see maybe a little bit more of a condensed report. So I mean, perhaps there's advisors out there who just want to produce the table that they're using currently. Again, you can choose which metrics you'd like in the report and which ones to leave out. So some of our metrics are for objections. And again, you might want to handle one with in a certain scenario but not use it most of the time. That's okay too. So we've got our report produced here, and this is fantastic. Again, if we're comfortable on a tablet or with our laptop in the meeting, we can use these interactive charts, and they're really quite nice. Again, even in the office, if you bring someone in, put it up on the projector. But for the advisors who are going and meeting with a client in their living room, a lot of the time we want to have a really professional leave behind piece for them. We might want to get more intimate and go over it pen and paper. Well, again, one of the biggest strengths of our product is that at a click of a button, this is where we can generate a PDF. And as we're going to see from the beginning of the report, I branded this with my Google logo as opposed to my LDA logo, just to kind of show how you can put your own logo on this. So let's generate a PDF and actually show what a report would look like for our clients here. So just give it a moment here. I'll click Generate PDF. And it's going to make a fully branded report for us. And again, like I said, you can customize things like your color scheme, logo, all that kind of different information here. Let me just bring one up here. Sorry, my Adobe here is not opening. Let's just open up one of these reports and take a look here. So again, as we can see, we've put our Google on there, and we've got our nice customized logo here. Then you can change the way this template looks and feels. Again, all these links are going to link to your actual website. So all of this is customizable. Again, I just quickly changed it to Google and Google just to kind of emphasize how how you'll customize it with your logo. Again, mission statements in there. But you can see the impact this would have. Again, as an advisor, it shows that you've done your research. It makes you look good in front of the client because, again, they think you've spent a lot of time putting together this detailed report when our objective is to actually make it really simple and have you do it with under a minute. But again, it's the really simple visuals that help communicate. So, after you leave the meeting and they sit down as, maybe a couple and make the decision, they'll remember certain aspects. Like they'll remember, what line did you want to be? Well, we wanted to be the blue line, and that's that term 20. So it really helps simplify the decision for them and pair it to what they're looking for as, whether it be a couple, an individual. But again, you can see, again, fully branded report with your information on it. And again, you can email these to a client. There's lots of different ways you can present this to clients. And again, when we get to the end of the webinar, I'm going to share a little bit of a new feature that's coming out sort of related to that. Again, if we got to the meeting and if we are the type with the tablet there, again, we can always adjust this. So if we find out our clients need maybe permanent insurance, or they have a mortgage for 30 years, again, why not add another product to the comparison? So again, I could say, let's add another term product. Maybe it's a 30-year term we feel is relevant. I don't think they do mortgages for that anymore. But again, the IA Pick a Term is, again, another great solution, paired exactly to their time frame. And we'll add it to the case. So I'm just going to pick a BMO term 30 here and add it to this case. So again, as I said, this can be a T10 to T20 upsell, but really the idea is pairing it to your client's time frame. I'm just going to move this, and I'm going to go T10, T20, T30. And the only other change I want to make to this case is I also want to set this time frame to be 30 years. So I'm going to say 30 years is what we're going to analyze this to. So you can see as I move out this time frame, it changes the client's age, and we can do a very customizable report on this client. So I'll just show this really quickly, and then we'll move into kind of the next topic, which is how to present whole life that sells itself. And again, I'm going to go back to a little bit of the other one, showing that manufacturer's illustration and how ours can help really communicate that. So again, let's say they had a longer term mortgage or a 30-year need. Again, we can show if we push out that time frame, now we're going to see that T20 renewal, and at the end of the day, it's the same sort of conversation. As long as we're pairing that time frame of our client to the insurance products we're showing, we're going to easily be able to highlight the best product for their needs. So again, which line would you want to be? I know which one I want to be. I want to be that light blue line because it's less money at the end of the day. Again, 186,000 sounds much better than $500,000. So it's really how you position product and how you help talk about it. But if we think back to the stat, 9 out of 10 of our clients don't even know they have different options as far as time length or what a term even means. You know, what sounds obvious to us isn't always to our clients. So that's a couple ways you can position different product. Now, if we want to go back to this case, I want to show, and I'm going to transition, I'll even use this client that we're working on right now, how we can do whole life that sells itself. I'm going to get rid of this term option, and I'm going to leave one of the T10 options here, or actually I might even just highlight a UL option. So I'll start with term, and then we'll add a UL into there and say, you know, we want to show you across the spectrum of different products here. I'm actually going to start, I'll go with a clean slate. I'm just going to delete all these here. Delete that. Perfect. So one thing we're working on here at Life Design Analysis is actually getting rid of the spreadsheet that's used. So we have lots of integrated rates from different carriers. We even have the ability to search whole life. One of the things, though, if you've used Life Guide and things like that, is you only see the guaranteed cash value. And we know we want you to have full control over the different dividend scenarios you might want to choose. You know, different offsets of plans. So sometimes you might want to make it a 10-pay, 20-pay, 15-pay. You might want to add additional deposit to it or term riders. Well, we want you to have full control over that when you're presenting. So when you add a whole life product to our system, you're going to see it asks for a little bit more information, either in the form of a CSV file, which is just a type of spreadsheet file, or by pasting that information in there. And I'll actually show two different ways you can do this today while we're focusing on it. But we want to talk about whole life that sells itself. So I've added a Sun Life whole life in this example, but really you can do any different manufacturer by adding it. And I'm actually pulling up the illustration software that I have on my computer here. Now, what we're looking for is actually the file, the spreadsheet file from the illustration software. And the reason we do that is because it allows us full control. Anything we design in this product here, including things like policy loans, additional deposits, term riders, things like that, are all reflected in that spreadsheet. And when we say view spreadsheet here along the left-hand side, this actually gives us almost a fingerprint of our plan that we've designed. So all that data, they give you oodles and oodles and oodles of data. We use all of that. We make it really easy for you, though. All you have to do is click Export Spreadsheet at the top there. So there's a little button that says Export Spreadsheet. And it asks you, where do you want to save that? So I'm going to save this plan that I've designed, which is a 10-pay Sun Life par accumulator. And I'm going to save it to my webinar, which is on my desktop. So save it to a location you're familiar with. Once you save it, that's all you need to do. From there, we just want to say we want to import the file. And again, we can just click here or even drag and drop that file in there. So I'm just going to select webinar, that one that I saved earlier. So I just saved it really quickly, and then I say open. And it is actually going to upload all that information that comes with that file. So again, it's really easy, and shortly we're looking to get rid of that and still give you the flexibility to present all those different options. So we've got our one product in there, and again, we can customize certain aspects of it. So I mean, we don't just have to call this Sun Life Whole Life. We can call this anything we'd like. So again, we can edit this plan, and we can say this is Sun Life Par Accumulator. And again, I might give a description. I might say this is a 10-year planned premium, and then I might give it something and say Whole Life insurance. So you can add any sort of description to this. And again, I really like this for adding certain things like, I call it breadcrumbing, so adding a detail that your client might be interested in. So again, I'm just going to add a whole life product to this. You'll notice that now the title has changed to par accumulator, and all of that is going to be updated in the report. Now the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to push this timeline out to age 99 because now we're looking at permanent product. And again, I can present it just as it is right now, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to compare it to another permanent solution, and I'm just going to search for a universal life here. So I'm going to pick T100. So again, I can pick my limited pay products as well. I just want to show there is a minimum amount we could put into a permanent product, and there's this other solution called whole life. And what I'm doing is I'm comparing them to show certain advantages of one product over the other. So again, I can go down my list here and pick any different product. In this case, I will just add BMO. It's right near the top. So I've got my two products in there. I've set my time frame. The only other thing I really want to do is I want to add an IRR back in there. In this case, I'm going to go with table of internal rates of return because that's my preference, just to highlight. And again, I'm just going to generate the report using our handy little sidebar here. Again, some of the most frequently used functions of the site are all found along the side here. So I'm going to say generate this report. And again, same client. We've got the needs analysis done for them. But now we're showing a couple different permanent options. So let's scroll down here. Now, one of the objections I think clients kind of instantly see is that there is a huge price difference between, $13,000 or even the $1,000 that they'd be paying for term insurance versus a whole life. And a lot of that is the sticker shock. And again, when we think about a visual, we can really easily communicate that kind of solution to a client. So if we look out over the course of it, we can look at, at age 60, you would actually stop your insurance payments and they would go to zero versus all the other products that you're going to have to keep paying, keep paying, keep paying. So again, when we think about cash flow management after retirement, having something that can be offset or stop paying is a very valuable thing. Now again, this 10-pay, it's also equally important that we show different aspects of it. Like this 10-pay is not a guaranteed 10-pay. Again, if it reduces, we can actually see that it turns into a 13-pay. So under the current dividend, we can offset it at 10 years. But if we reduce the dividend even 1%, we're actually seeing that now this turns into a 13-pay. So again, some of the interactive elements of LDA are really important for showing different ways products operate. Again, the next one, when we look at the sum of premiums, again, if I said, here's two permanent solutions, which line do you want to be? Most of the time, everyone's going to say, I want to be the green line. Again, it's important to show, even in a reduced scenario, that pushes the breakout a little bit later. But again, it's very nice to be able to show these differences in an interactive way that helps them kind of remember. Again, the reason we pay so much more up front for that whole life, and in this case I picked paid up additions, is the cash value. And again, coming back to that illustration we did before, showing value, if I looked at, page, let me just view a report here, page 4 of 14, it's going to be really hard to determine what is the best product for us. Let me just clear these errors that I got before on my Adobe. Let's see if we can actually generate a PDF here from Canada Life. Now, it makes it very difficult to assess really quickly where we are in terms of premium. So if I gave you the 7 times 33,755 and then say correlate that to how much cash value is in the product, it's an extremely difficult number to come to. Even as financial professionals, I bet you would struggle to tell me exactly what it was. Whereas in our software, we can easily go out to year 7 and say your sum of premiums is 257. The total cash value is 256,000. So again, it's really easy to be able to identify exactly where we are as far as premium when we break even by using visuals. And again, as we saw before, that's the current dividend. So if we want to show things like guarantees, of course we can. If we want to show reduced examples, again, we can show that. A lot of people say, well, why is the reduced example higher here? Well, it's because we put in more premium. Again, we actually paid, instead of 10 years, we accumulated 3 more years of premium. But again, it allows you to interactively take your clients through totals and reduced values to really highlight the strength of the product. Totals and reduced accumulation numbers to really just say, look, here's the money you put in. And again, even in a reduced example, sure, we put in more premium, but all of it comes back in cash value under those different dividend scenarios. Again, same thing with whole life with paid up insurance, again showing it grow, and maybe it reduces a little after the offset, or how does a reduced insurance benefit look like. So again, important elements to discuss with a client and show them, but using interactive visuals really helps highlight that value. And again, coming down to that presentation summary, this is another one I really enjoy. Whenever there's two products, again, it's going to show that premium deposit difference. And this is, again, quite a strong conversation to have with clients, because we can show them, yes, you paid $23,000 more the first year, but under the current dividend, look how much came back in cash value. Again, 19 of that came back in cash value. So if I take someone out even 10 years where the premium deposit difference will be the most, yes, you paid $237,000 more. However, for that, you have $403,000 of cash value to access. And again, we can get into conversations on how we can leverage that. Maybe it's a business owner and it's an asset on their balance sheet. So again, there's so many great things we can do with this insurance product if we can communicate to our clients sort of the value of it, not just the cost, and show them different scenarios. So that's how you can easily present whole life to, basically sell itself. Because I mean, when I look at these and I say, if I can afford this whole life, I'm certainly doing it. And again, it's so important right now to sell as much whole life as we can, because we're going to get grandfathered rules for those products. So again, fantastic way to present whole life. And again, even give more transparency on some of the differences between it. Again, our last sort of topic was how to mine your block of business, but I jumped ahead a little bit. That was our managed clients. Again, import those clients, get in touch with us if you need help, get in touch with your wholesaler to get that block of business. You can export from a CRM. But again, once you bring this information in here, you're going to see a lot of opportunity in front of you. And again, you'll find your own filters. I mean, you might want to look at insurance benefit of your high-value clients and say, okay, perfect. We have to, send these people special gifts because they're all of our high-value insurance clients, and they're the ones we want to really, emphasize our value to. So it might mean extra follow-up. It might mean tickets to the hockey game. It could be anything. So again, use that import client to mine your block of business. As always, if you ever need help when you sign up or when you're using the software, we have live chat. So again, you can say, help. And someone from our team, you can see this one's even coming to myself, they're going to come in and help you out here. So I wanted to, just before we run out of time here, I wanted to show a couple different aspects of things that are coming. And one of them, you can see Melissa's helped us out there. So I wanted to touch on some of the kind of the new features. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to pull up a report on actually both systems. So I'm going to pull up our last report, and I'm going to generate it here. And I'm going to pull up a little bit of our development area here, and I'm going to go to a last case as well. So I want to show, again, we looked at that interactive report, and it looks fantastic here. Now, where we're going with this is we'd like you to actually be able to send a link of this to your client. They wouldn't be able to change certain aspects of it, but they would be able to play with that report. So one of the big differences I want you to notice here between these two reports, they are different products themselves. If we look at this report here, it's unbranded. It doesn't have our logo in it. It's just the interactive place we let you build it. Whereas in the new system, what we're aiming towards, I'm just going to zoom out here a little bit, is the report view will actually be an interactive PDF. So you would be able to send this to your client, give them the case link. They won't be able to change anything other than playing with the interactive portions of it. But again, if we look at this report itself, this is the PDF view. However, it's all interactive. So all those elements are now branded with what would be your own logo here. So when you present them online, you'll actually be able to show them interactively with your branding on the report. So again, that's coming out very shortly. But again, you'll be able to send this to your clients, see if they've played with interactive elements of the report, play with those cash values. Again, it's going to notify you when they've opened it, things like that. So again, that's exactly how sort of the new changes will work there. I also want to show you where we're working towards with that whole life spreadsheet. So again, I showed you how to import that spreadsheet. Well, in the future, again, we're going to show you, and this is hopefully very shortly, we're going to allow you to search for whole life rates in the system and actually have hopefully values for totals, for reduced examples without the need for a spreadsheet. So again, I'm just going to search for whole life here, and we're going to see a few different options. Again, it's going to give me ability to, and just ignore this part for now. If I go back here, this is just basically our debugging area. But again, it's going to give me ability when I do search for things like whole life, just like we do with UL. It'll give me the ability to say, do I want a life pay? Do I want adjustable 10 to 20 pay? And again, this is all because of that Life Guide association. So again, if you are a Life Guide subscriber, make sure you take advantage of some of this here. So again, you can see here now we're able to search our different whole life products in there. And again, we'll add them to the case. Now the reason we don't have this live right now is because we want that total cash value, reduced cash values, and guarantees. Because again, quite honestly, you need to be able to control those different dividend options. So again, that's sort of a preview of a few things to come, but again, there's lots of exciting elements coming to Life Design Analysis. So if you haven't subscribed, again, I encourage you to sign up today. If you have some of these features, and again, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me at charlie@lifedesignanalysis.com. I'll leave the text open, the chat open for a little bit here if you have any questions. I have, I see a couple messages in there, but again, if you have any questions, send them in. I'll try and answer them in the next 10 minutes. But other than that, that was our September webinar, so I really want to thank everyone for joining. And again, if you don't get your question in there, feel free to get in touch with us, offline, info@lifedesignanalysis.com. Feel free to send them to Melissa@lifedesignanalysis.com. But again, thank you so much for joining.